Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I've come across something from the conversation.com, and it poses a question way back in May, because when Braz was looking and was starting to hint that he was going to start suing Friendly Geordies, the conversation actually put a piece out and to remind us that parody can do stuff that traditional media can't. And is this the end of parody? So let's have a look at what they say. So, yes, I am going to read this because by reading the article, this ensures that you get the right interpretation. You can interpret it yourself. So it says New South Wales Deputy Premier threatens to sue Friendly Geordies, reminding us that parody hits in a way traditional media can't. So this is back in May. So there was already questions being asked way back in May. What is going to happen if this lawsuit takes off? New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro is reportedly threatening legal action against YouTuber and political satirist Jordan Shanks, better known as Friendly Geordies, over the alleged defamation and racist comments. Shanks' parodying of Barilaro has included intimidating him with a strong Italian accent. So this is Michael West saying we'll be supporting Friendly Geordies' defence against the Barilaro threat. We need media which holds politicians to account, predatory defamation lawyers too. In 2019, Shanks received a legal threat from the then politician Clyde Palmer after labelling him a dense Humpty Dumpty, among other profanities. Shanks' video responding to Palmer's lawsuit had been viewed more than 1 million times, with the likes and dislikes ratio indicating overwhelming support from viewers. The latest threat against Shanks reminds us of the key role parody and satirization now plays in the nation's political discourse. This type of humour provides a way to discuss issues in a way traditional media outlets can't risk doing. Perhaps this is because parody, by its very nature, is expected to be cheeky and even offensive. Add this to contemporary Western society's desire for freedom of speech, coupled with our increasing connectedness afforded by the internet, and one could argue it has never been easier to create and consume political satire. But where does the value of this content lie? And is there evidence to suggest it can influence people's personal politics? Effective political satire will often cause outrage. Anger may be directed at the satirist or the issue being discussed. In either case, a strong emotional response indicates the audience is tuned in. Take Shanks, who has been criticised repeatedly for his offensive brand of comedy, and despite being quite open about his political allegiance to the Labor Party, he has offended people right across the political spectrum. But regardless of anyone's personal views on him, one could argue Shanks' brashness and crudity, combined with the scathing wit, are what make him relatable to Australians. As former university academic Rebecca Higgy explains in her research, Australians' unique sense of larrikinism popularises this popular brand of political discourse. And so they've got here some of his videos. Prior to the pandemic, a major study of the 2019 federal election found trust in the government was at its lowest since the 1970s. In such a landscape where there is widespread concern regarding how democracy is performing, it becomes easy to understand why some people may trust satirists over politicians and or mainstream media. The former, at least, are more willing to put their brand on the line and embrace vitriol from the public. At last count, Shanks has more than 480,000 subscribers. I know that it's now sitting at about 516,000 subscribers. A crude comparison, the Australian government's official channel has just over 600, while SBS Australia had about 42,000. The ABC and Sky News both had many more. Research published in March confirmed that user-generated parodies, such as those made by Shanks, are far better received by audiences than parodies produced through mainstream or commercial media outlets. This is in keeping with the general trend towards the fracturing of legacy media institutions, as well as increasing calls for media diversity, manifested in ex-Prime Minister Rudd's bid for Royal Commission into News Corp's ideological domination of Australia's media landscape. Here's a News Corp journalist who also works at Triple J, celebrating the fact that Deputy Premier is still in a comedian. I guess free speech is only important if you're favoured by Murdoch. Myriad studies and surveys carried out in the marketing context have found that user-generated content, as opposed to professional or traditional content, is more likely to resonate, be trusted, be remembered, and influence consumers. This is particularly illuminating in light of the federal government's recent problematic consent videos. Do you remember those? Attempting to teach sexual consent by using tacos and milkshakes as metaphors for sex. The viewers heavily criticised by the media and public. According to research, the explosion of social media has unsurprisingly generated an increase of political parodies, and these have certainly become difficult to ignore for anyone engaged in Australia's broader political conversation. Apart from friendly Geordies, major satirists leading on this front include the fake news publication The Betoota Advocate, Satire, the satirical comedy group The Chaser, the YouTube channel The Juice Media, and which gave us honest government ads. That said, there's still contention as to whether political parodies can change people's minds on political issues. One 2006 study found the political comedy of The Daily Show with Jon Stewart led audiences to having a more negative view of the politicians being parodied, as well as a more cynical view of the overall US electoral system. Similarly, researchers from Paris Sorbonne Business School claimed funny YouTube videos had a real stake in negativity impacting Donald Trump's Build a Wall policy. The YouTube video, Do You Want to Build a Wall? Donald Trump Frozen Parody, received more than 37 million views and 467,000 interactions, while a similar Peppa Pig themed parody was viewed more than 49 million times. Then again, there is research to suggest otherwise. In one study focusing on US television presenter Stephen Colbert's brand of political satire, researchers analysed how the show was received both by liberal and conservative audiences. They found there was no significant difference in groups in thinking Colbert was funny, but conservatives were more likely to report that Colbert only pretended to be funny. This suggests while viewers from all ends of political spectrum can enjoy Colbert's political satire, conservatives didn't necessarily receive the satirical jokes as satire. That is, they didn't always sense Colbert was being sarcastic. The researchers suggest this may be because of Colbert's deadpan delivery style, which could leave ambiguity for some viewers. According to them, conservative viewers found a way to make Colbert's liberal humour agreeable to their own ideology. They liked the show, but not for the same reasons as liberal viewers. Sometimes parody can help us see the lighter side of things. For example, the Twitter account OzGovSchooled probably gives most people a laugh, except maybe members of the actual government. A recent tweet mocking the government's misguided sexual consent videos could be enjoyed by both ends of the political spectrum. Do young people still go to a local diner for a milkshake? They probably Uber Eats, no. It remains to be seen how Barilaro legal threats against Shanks will play out. But Australia has a legacy of political satire that connects our sense of larrikinism, our egalitarian brand of you know what. Shanks is an example of how, in the age of the internet, anyone can extend and champion this legacy. And while some online parodies might be absolute shockers, especially if you're at the receiving end, they remain the sign of a healthy democracy. So what do you think? I'd be really interested to hear what you think. Do you think that having satire is actually healthy? Do we need to have satire? Is your vote changed by having a laugh? I mean, Australians are known for joking around and not taking themselves seriously. Are we really now going to start taking ourselves so seriously that we can't find something funny in it? Tell me what you think in the comments below, and don't forget, free Christo. Thank you for watching.